Welcome to the earthvox podcast. The earthvox podcast. earthvox podcast.
Oh, it's almost unbearable. Am I listening to 3 live streams at once? Yes, I am. Wow, because of course we're streaming live on YouTube and X and Rumble and Twitch. All the important places. And of course the audio version is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all of the places that audio-only podcasts are available. I'm feeling really subdued and calm and docile. That's the word, docile. Which is very, very out of character for me. So I was wondering, how could this be? And then I realized we're all a bunch of bees. We're all a bunch of worker bees. And that's why we're inundated with wildfire smoke all summer long. And I don't mean to launch. I mean, it's important to me because it's close to me. Several wildfires popped up this week, and we've all been choked with wildfire smoke. But I don't know if you've ever seen beekeepers handling bees. And they use smoke. I don't know if it's wood smoke, but I don't really know where else they would get it. The beekeepers spray the beehives with smoke because it makes them calm and docile. And it's interesting because usually they say when they're talking about the riots and protest season, this is how it was in 2020 in the summer of love, when everybody was allegedly upset about George Floyd. The protest season is coming because it's getting nice out. You know, protesters only like it when it's comfortably warm. That's why they don't call protest season in the winter, because it's cold and rainy and snowy, and the poor snowflakes get uncomfortable. So it only makes sense to me that governors and mayors and county commissioners of blue states and cities and townships would deliberately mismanage their forests to allow for wildfires so that we would all be smoked out and calm and docile and not going to protest, right? We figured it out. Moving on. No, of course, I don't really believe that. It's just one of the many little quirky things that popped in my head when I was just wondering why I feel so calm and not angry to the edge of violence about what has been going on in the world this week. It's been pretty upsetting. A lot of things that we thought were true are now thrown into question, are they not? Because apparently now we have no Epstein lists. This was the memo that was released by the DOJ. How that no one put their name on, that no one signed, strangely or not strangely, depending on which conspiracy theory side you come down on. So a lot of theories are spinning around. Dan Bongino is very mad, or it's all theater. I don't know. Have you had enough of Epstein? I have so many clips and articles and perspectives. An entire show could be done just on Epstein. just as every other content creator, it seems, has done show after show after show on Epstein. But you know what I'll do instead to start? Because I think you remember I brought up this obscure singing competition show that I couldn't remember the name last time I brought it up. I don't even remember at this point the context of why I brought it up. The name of the show is WB Superstar USA. I said it was on FX. No, the WB. And I've got it muted now, the intro. I'll probably keep it muted for most of the time, but I just wanted you to experience this singing show that was this was posted to YouTube 15 years ago. So 2010. I think it was running, oh yeah, the description here says 2004. 21 years ago. There was an entire show dedicated to making fun of people who were bad at singing, and even worse, didn't have the people around them to say, hey, you're bad at singing. Don't go on a singing competition show. This guy's name is Mario, and he's singing some Aerosmith.
Every moment spent with you is a moment I treasure. Don't want to close my eyes. I don't want to fall asleep, cause I miss you, baby. And I don't want to miss a thing, cause even when I dream
Tone Loc, one of the guests, he had 15 minutes of fame, was probably a one-hit wonder. I don't know. Fans of Tone Loc. I know Tone Loc better from his time on screen in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. I very rarely watched this show because it made me uncomfortable. It bothered me. And sure, it's kind of good content now, I guess. But only for the purpose of proving to you that I didn't make it up. It wasn't some Mandela effect that erased it from history. But speaking of erasing things from history, the Trump administration was shocked that we would take issue, we the voters would take issue with the lack of an Epstein client list, the lack of transparency in the investigation, the lack of accountability. And I think if this isn't all theater, if Dan Bongino really is considering quitting, and then, of course, Kash Patel came out and said, well, if Dan Bongino quits, then I also quit. Because, I don't know, some sort of half-baked solidarity, Jerry Maguire style. Who's coming with me, man? We're out of here. We can't take it anymore. I mean, it makes sense. I want to say based on what I know of Dan Bongino, which is really nothing beyond what he put out on his podcast for those many years and what he's said on Fox News. But I think one of the things that attracted me to him and attracted you to him as well, if you were a fan of his show, is the authenticity. He seemed to be a very authentic person. Likely, in my opinion, because if he's not a truly authentic person, it would be detectable. Or he wouldn't be able to pull off some facade. Does he seem like the kind of person that could fool you into believing he's someone he's not? He ran for Congress in Maryland 20 years ago or longer or thereabouts. I'm sure we could find out. But he lost. So apparently he wasn't that good at tricking people into voting for him. He wasn't elected to be deputy director of the FBI. He was chosen by Kash Patel, I assume at the behest of Donald Trump. So this FBI memo comes out, unsigned. I mean, it looks like a Word document. It looks like it could be completely fake. A few highlighted portions here. This systematic review revealed no incriminating, quote, client list. There was also no credible evidence found that Epstein blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions. We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. And further in, after a thorough investigation, FBI investigators concluded that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide in his cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York City on August 10th, 2019. This conclusion is consistent with previous findings, including the August 19th, 2019 autopsy findings of the New York City Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, the November 29th position of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York in connection with the investigation of federal correctional officers responsible for guarding Epstein, and the June 2023 conclusion of the DOJ's Office of the Inspector General. So there's a 4-year gap in there. And that's what has me so perplexed. Now, the left is running out and saying, oh, this proves it. This proves that Donald Trump was on the client lists. He's implicated. And that's why the files haven't been released. Okay. If Donald Trump is in fact implicated in the Epstein documents, why wasn't the information released under Joe Biden? Why was there no public pressure to release Epstein documents under the Biden administration? Why was there no media pressure? If we're supposed to take this all at face value, why is it happening now, 6 months into Donald Trump's presidency, with this perceived outrage from the public and from the media, and a deep rift growing between what they're referring to as MAGA on social media? Oh, this is fracturing MAGA. Well, it's because of all the reporting that was done on the Epstein story since he was arrested and killed himself or didn't kill himself in 2019. I mean, what about this? What about this from the post-millennial? From December 30th, 2021. Ghislaine Maxwell's little black book sealed by the court. A number of documents used in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, like Maxwell's infamous little black book, have been reportedly sealed by the court. Sealed why? Didn't we want accountability in 2021? We sure want it now. It's been published before, with addresses and phone numbers redacted, of course, of royalty, dukes and duchesses. And then the DOJ recently put out a memo or a press release saying that they have they're ending the investigation into Prince Andrew, so he can now travel without being worried about being arrested and forced to testify or something. which I think is a massive signal. Signal to what there could be a multitude of reasons. One being that perhaps he's willing to testify against some of the other people at the parties. Perhaps Jeffrey Epstein, who is allegedly unalive at the time, Virginia Giuffre, one of Epstein's most well-known victims, most vocal victims, was also allegedly unalived. Strangely, through what was claimed a high-speed accident involving a bus, which is problematic because in an alleged interview with the bus driver, he claimed it was low speed and only broke the taillight. So what if Jeffrey Epstein and Virginia Giuffre are in witness protection? What if Prince Andrew has agreed to testify against the real criminals, the really bad people, in exchange for a reduced sentence? What if a case is being built to take down the people that are really responsible? Well, if you listen to people talk all week about it, it creates a really big problem. Because for some reason, they allege that governments would collapse if we took down the powerful people that were committing atrocities on Epstein Island. Markets would crash if we took down CEOs. That were caught on camera doing horrific things to children on Epstein Island. So is that why we're claiming that there's no list? There's no client list? And is it all simply hyperbole? Is it all word games? Is it all doublespeak? No, I mean, there's no document in this Epstein dossier that has client list at the top and a list of names with tapes attached showing all the horrific things that they did. I mean, Alan Dershowitz says unequivocally there's a list and that documents are being withheld.
I know for a fact documents are being suppressed, and they're being suppressed to protect individuals. I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them, but I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases, and I can't disclose what I know. But I hand to God, I know the names of people whose files are being suppressed in order to protect them, and that's wrong.
It's wrong that documents are being suppressed to protect who? People that were seen on camera with Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell? I mean, that's part of the game, is it not? If they don't have you on camera in bed with a girl that's underage, well, they've got your name on the flight logs. They've got your name on the visitors list. They've got you in a picture with Jeffrey Epstein at some soiree for the super elites. And now we've spun this narrative into the public about what was really allegedly going on Epstein Island. So now all we have to do to exact control over you is say, hey, look at this picture we have. This picture we have of you and old Jeffy. We wouldn't want that making its way into the media. People would think you're up to no good. Maybe your wife divorces you like Bill Gates. But I think we all know Bill Gates was thick as thieves with good old Jeffy, in which a article was released by Wall Street Journal, I believe. Come on, Link, don't do me wrong. Oh, man, I was worried that this would happen. Because as I've mentioned, the news aggregator that I use, Citizen Free Press, uses archived links to allow us to sneak around the paywall and view the articles. And I was a little concerned. I have a few of these articles. I was concerned when I swapped from my phone, where I collect my notes, to my broadcast machine, where I view and share my notes with you, that perhaps these links would no longer work. So let's see if we can work around this here. So we'll go citizenfreepress.com as you see it there. And we will Control F to see if we can pull this article. And there it is. All right, we did it. Is it going to also not work this time? It seems also that it is not going to work because I don't have my VPN. So I'll just have to sum it up for you. Oh, I'm going to have to take airplane mode. Oh my God, it loaded. Wow. I just had to apparently filibuster for 5 minutes while it worked really hard to pull the archived version. That's how they get you. As a side note, isn't it really interesting that the quality of the media just tanked? And then suddenly all of the publications had to put up paywalls because everybody said, yeah, you guys are all full of shit and we don't believe what you say anymore. So we're not going to sign on to your web pages. So now the views for your pages have tanked and your advertisers aren't paying as much money because you're not offering them as many eyeballs. So now the real diehard ingesters of propaganda are going to have to fork up, what is it, $5, $6, $10 a month to bathe in your bullshits. The headline from the Wall Street Journal: Jeffrey Epstein appeared to threaten Bill Gates over Microsoft co-founder's affair with Russian bridge player. They try to explain it away. Gates, 67 years old, a technology advisor to Microsoft and one of its largest shareholders, is what he is now, has said he met Epstein a few times only to discuss philanthropy, which he regrets and calls a mistake. And a little sidebar, his wife also divorced him and took half of his wealth when she found out that he was hanging out with Epstein. Accused in 2006 of sexually abusing girls as young as 14, and pleaded guilty in 2008 to soliciting and procuring a minor for prostitution. He spent time in a Florida jail and registered as a sex offender after the Miami Herald reported on dozens more women who said they were abused. He was arrested in 2019 on sex trafficking charges. He died later that year in a jail while awaiting trial in what the medical examiner ruled was a suicide, from the article there. So apparently, Gates has said he learned to play bridge from his parents, and the card game became one of his favorite hobbies. Gates played with this woman, Antonova, another devotee of the game. She attended a university in Russia between 2000 and 2005, according to her LinkedIn profile. She later founded a bridge club in the US before taking on several roles as a software engineer in the Bay Area. In a video posted online in 2010, Antonova talked about meeting Gates at a bridge tournament and playing against the Microsoft co-founder. Quote, "I didn't beat him, but I tried to kick him with my leg," she said in the video. Antonova had an idea to start an online business to teach people how to play bridge, and she sought funds for it. According to documents viewed by the Wall Street Journal, Boris Nikolic, a Gates confidant and top science advisor at the time, who also knew Epstein, introduced Antonova to Epstein to help her raise the funds, the documents show. Nikolic said when he first met Epstein, it was in his capacity as Gates' scientific advisor, and they discussed philanthropic proposals. "I deeply regret that I ever met Epstein," Nikolic said. "His crimes were despicable. I never saw anything like his illegal behavior. My heart goes out to his victims and their families." Their carefully prepared response to accusations of his involvement with Epstein. Antonova and Nikolic met at Epstein's townhouse in November 2013, where she presented her proposal to Epstein, who provided feedback, documents show. She was looking to raise $500,000 for the venture, which she called Bridge Planet. Its mission was to, quote, "promote bridge by creating quality tutorials for beginners and advanced players." On November 9th, Antonova wrote an email to thank Epstein for the meeting and reviewing the proposal. Epstein ultimately didn't invest in the project, Antonova said. The next year, in November 2014, Antonova stayed briefly at an apartment in New York City provided by Epstein. "I didn't interact with him or with anyone else while there," she said. After she failed to secure funding for Bridge Planet, Antonova said she decided to become a software programmer and asked several people to lend her money for a programming boot camp. Quote, "Epstein agreed to pay, and he paid directly to the school. Nothing was exchanged. I don't know why he did that," she said. Quote, "When I asked, he said something like he was wealthy and wanted to help people when he could." Does that sound like a bunch of BS to you? Does that sound like a completely made up story to paint Epstein and Bill Gates in an innocent light? It sure does to me. Because later, Jeffrey Epstein tried to use the relationship between Bill Gates and this woman as blackmail material. But there's no list. There's no clients. Apparently, it was just Prince Andrew. The thing that really gets me is so many of these people remained involved with Epstein even after he was convicted for heinous crimes. Heinous crimes involving many young women. But we're supposed to think it's no big deal? This is the outrage. We're supposed to let it die with the one guy that was responsible? And how much was he really responsible for? What percentage of the abuse? I mean, sure, you could argue he was responsible for all of it because he facilitated it, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people involved in the acts. Not the one or two people that were responsible for putting them in the same room together. Not the one person responsible for introducing them. The people that went to the brothels. The people that went to the islands to enjoy the forbidden pleasures. Ugh. Are those people innocent? I mean, Alan Dershowitz himself said he got a massage, but he, quote, left his underwear on. So we should all be fine with that. Because no big deal. Oh, nice. It's not even letting me share the article. Even though it says it's sharing the article, it is not actually. Well, little black screen for you. Sorry, African American. African American. Is it really not showing any screen now? Well, that's cute. I guess we'll just have to try sharing it again later. Stop sharing, stop sharing, stop sharing. This is wonderful. It's good to see things are working as expected, right? Maybe not as intended, but as expected. So this has been a long building saga with Jeffrey Epstein and his run-ins with law enforcement. We come into this administration hearing now we're going to get the Epstein files. We're going to get all the evidence. Pam Bondi said it's on my desk. And then that's all explained away. Oh, we don't actually have that. Sorry. Pam Bondi didn't, I mean, according to Carolyn Levitt, right? She said, oh no. She didn't actually say that she had the Epstein list on her desk. She said that it was all the material. Everything related to the Epstein. Really, all the millions of documents that were related to Jeffrey Epstein are all on your desk, Pam Bondi. So now it's a giant cover-up. Everybody thinks it's a giant cover-up. A cover-up for what? A cover-up for why? They had to know. Oh, so then they give us the surveillance tape. And of course, they had to know, right? They had to know. What in the hell is this? Oh, it might be the last time I used the Gateway Pundit for anything. Inundated with pop-ups. They're getting desperate too now. Why would that be? So the DOJ turned over the surveillance footage from outside Jeffrey Epstein's cell, allegedly. And if you follow the full video, this is from the Gateway Pundit article, you can see for yourself that the video is cut off at 11:59 and restarts exactly at 12 o'clock. They had to know. They had to know that we were going to discover a missing minute. Why would they put the video out knowing that we would discover these things? And why won't they just tell us? Why can't they explain what is going on? This is unfortunately one of those shows where we have more questions than we do answers. Because apparently we're not stable enough to know what's really going on. Apparently we're preserving democracy, we're preserving governments and corporations because the fallout would be just so bad. I don't care. I don't care that it would be just so bad. I don't care that corporations would collapse. I don't care that governments would collapse. How about you explain to me why I should care that these terrible things would happen? That innocent people would be held accountable for things they didn't do. So now it's being reported that the footage from Epstein's cell, this is from George Papadopoulos. We try and share it, I guess. Boy, editing the audio is going to be really fun. I bet. If I'm missing screen shares. Hooray! From George Papadopoulos on X writes, breaking, the footage from Epstein's cell that was released by the DOJ was edited with Adobe Premiere Pro, stitched from 2 clips, and was saved 4 times. But the official response to the question of why is the video missing a minute is that, the cameras reset themselves at the same time and just don't record anything for the 1 minute that they're doing those things. Or do you know how long a minute is? I mean, should we believe that something as critical as a surveillance camera at a prison is so outdated that it really takes 1 minute to reset itself? 1 minute is a long time, bro. It's a really long time. But they can use their word games to dismiss it as, it's only 1 minute. It's only 1 minute. Nothing to worry about. Don't be ridiculous. Don't be a crazy conspiracy theorist. They're turning us all into conspiracy theorists again. After almost a decade of telling us that this person is up to the worst kind of things involving powerful people that have control over so many aspects of our lives. And it's supposed to be no big deal. But this guy, apparently, check out this joke from @theoldmanishere on X. He writes, I can't believe Epstein killed himself right before he was about to be acquitted due to a complete lack of evidence. Like, if there was nothing to allow him to be convicted. I mean, remember his last stay in prison, where he was on work release, got to go home on the weekends, only served, I think, a couple of years. We'll ask Super Grok, because we got Grok 4 out now, which is apparently just the most amazing. I mean, if you've spent any time on X in the last week, you've been inundated with how cool the new Grok is, and how, if you want to pay, what was it, maybe $3,000 a month, you can have access to Grok Heavy, which apparently does all sorts of amazing, fanciful things. But you got to click and then realize, it's just making cool gyroscope pictures. I'm sure people that understand it better than I do know how much cooler it is than Grok 3. I've listened to a few podcasts recently about, look how cool this is. I asked Grok how long Epstein was in prison the first time. You saw me type it in if you're watching the video on Rumble and X and YouTube and Twitch. And I finally get an answer after 27 seconds. It was an eternity. The cameras in Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell on his floor were down almost twice that long. 13 months, not even a year. Not even a year for these heinous crimes. Of which, like, I wonder how many hours he was actually locked up between work release and getting to go home on the weekends. See all of the powerful people that were benefiting from his underage prostitution ring. They all wanted to keep doing underage prostitution things. So no, we can't have him locked up. And by the way, it makes perfect sense that all of those powerful people would say, ooh, he's going to flip. He's going to turn on us. And we just can't have that. So get in there and kill him. I mean, does anybody believe? Is anybody taking all of this at face value? All of the narrative that's coming out of the DOJ now. Are you really taking it at face value? And do you think they don't know? Like that's the thing. And this is like the missing step that so many people take. They knew we were going to discover a minute was missing from the Epstein video. They knew that we were going to look back on all of this reporting that's been done for the last 10 years and say, no, this doesn't. What do you mean there's no list? There's been report after report about the list. Judges have sealed the list. And here's Trump on Lex Friedman saying, I'll release the list.
People went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be.
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. You know, they do that for danger too, because, you know, endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it. But a lot.
Kind of vague. Not real specific. Man, I'm going back to Grok 3. I was trying to find when Trump went on Lex Friedman, and at the beginning of that video, it didn't tell me anything. Stop. When did it was, I mean, we all know, right? It was during his podcast tour that he did in 2024 before the election. He doesn't claim there's a list. He said I would do the Epstein thing. And in his response, which I have somewhere here, and don't worry, it's not archived. Let's see, July 13th, I think. July 13th is today. It was a couple of days ago. Trump went on Truth Social, apparently the only social media that he's allowed to post on. And he had this long-winded post about basically how upset he is with the developments of the Epstein saga as it involves his DOJ and his FBI. He writes, "What's going on with my, quote, boys, and in some cases, quote, gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who is doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration, the talk of the world, and selfish people," he writes in caps, or in quotes, "are trying to hurt it, all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. For years, it's Epstein, over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, Crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and the losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with the Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, the laptop from hell, and more. They created the Epstein files, just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. And now my so-called, quote, friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? They haven't even given up on the John F. Kennedy or Martin Luther King Jr. files. No matter how much success we've had securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons, it's never enough for some people. We are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration has achieved in over 100 years. And we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, which will continue to be our complete priority. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020, and arresting thugs and criminals, instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she is looking into as AG and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Clearly, many people care about it. But I honestly don't know where I would put this on my personal list of things that are important to me. If evidence was deleted, why don't they just tell us? Why don't they tell us that evidence was selectively scrubbed? Do you think we'll get the list? Do you think we'll find anything out? Do you think Pam Bondi is to blame? Or do you think, as Bill O'Reilly says, that Pam Bondi isn't acting on her own? She's just doing what Donald Trump tells her to do. Now, Bill O'Reilly did a little media tour. And here's his appearance on News Nation with Chris Cuomo. Right. Chris was the news guy and Andrew was the governor. Yeah, nothing to worry about there.
I talked to President Trump man to man, eye to eye, on St. Patrick's Day about this and the Kennedy files and the King files. It was all one conversation. And he said, and I agree, there are a lot of names associated with Epstein that had nothing to do with Epstein's conduct. They maybe had lunch with him or maybe had some correspondence for one thing or another. If that name gets out, those people are destroyed because there's not going to be any context. Media doesn't care about context. So you can't do that. You can't destroy human beings by putting out the files, whatever they may be. I talked to President Trump man to man, eye to eye.
So one of these people could very well be RFK, Mr. Make America Healthy Again himself. Because he's in there. He's in the files. And here he is with Jesse Waters, I guess putting the rumors to bed.
You weren't ever on Jeffrey Epstein's jet, were you?
I was on Jeffrey Epstein's jet 2 times. I was on it in 1993 and I was on it and I went to Florida with my wife and 2 children to visit my mom over Easter. My wife had some kind of relationship with Ghislaine Maxwell, and they offered us a ride to Palm Beach. So I went then, and on another occasion, I flew again with my family, with I think 4 of my children, and Mary, my wife, to Rapid City, South Dakota, to go fossil hunting for a weekend. And but otherwise, I was never on his jet alone. I've been very open about this from the beginning. This was in '93, so it was 30 years ago. It was before anybody knew about Jeffrey Epstein's, his nefarious issues. And I agree with you that all of this information should be released. And we should get real answers on what happened to Jeffrey Epstein and any of the high-level political people that he was involved with. All of that should be open to the public. It should be absolutely transparent. And, I don't see why any of those records would have any redactions in them. Why would we be hiding that from the American public?
Well, you might not.
Well, I think the answer may be, and I don't know if I believe this, but the answer may be that the Biden Department of Justice deleted exculpatory evidence. They fabricated evidence. I mean, it feels like such a cop-out. What's important to you? We have a limited amount of time here. And I have Mike Benz talking about it. I have Alex Acosta answering to Congress for his alleged testimony or his alleged statements that he was told to go easy on Epstein, let him go, don't prosecute him because he's connected to intelligence. Well, he was asked about this statement and had this to say.
Terry, were you ever made aware at any point your handling of this case if Mr. Epstein was an intelligence asset of some sort?
So there has been reporting to that effect, and let me say, there's been reporting to a lot of effects in this case, not just now but over the years, and again, I would hesitate to take this reporting as fact. This was a case that was brought by our office. It was brought based on the facts. And I look at that reporting and others. I can't address it directly because of our guidelines.
Terry, were you ever?
Pretty straightforward answer. Yeah. No further questions. It sucks because it's coming down to what do you want to believe? Do you want to believe that he was intelligence, that he was working for governments, that maybe those governments have all of the blackmail material? If a video came out that showed Donald Trump himself engaging in the most horrific of atrocities, would you think that it was real? In the age of artificial intelligence and Grok 4 and VO and Chat GPT and Gemini and all of the other programs that create really high quality pictures and videos, would you believe that it was real? What if you saw one of Bill Clinton? What about Nancy Pelosi? Or Chuck Schumer or Jerry Nadler, somebody that you really hate? Would you believe that was real? And then if the media landscape all came out and said, no, we asked our experts, and they all said that it was definitely, unequivocally AI. Would you believe them? Have we entered an age where video and audio evidence is irrelevant now? If it was ever going to be less trustworthy, it's right now. I hope in the future that we will have tools and we will have institutions with integrity to tell us, no, in fact, this video is fake. I mean, there's a video alleging that the missing minutes of footage from outside Jeffrey Epstein's cell shows Hillary Clinton entering the cell herself. And they've made a video to show you that it's proof. I bet I can pull it up. There it is. Check out the video on Rumble, I'd prefer, or X, YouTube, Twitch. Looking pretty convincing. I don't know why everything is taking so long to load. It's always one thing or the other. There it is. Yeah, she strolls across. She looks like a dwarf. Strolls across the landing, walks into the cell, and there you have it. It was Hillary Clinton that killed Epstein. We've got the evidence. And I think this is what Donald Trump is getting at with his response. No evidence that comes out is going to be good enough for you people. If it's someone you like, you're going to say it's fake. If it's someone you hate, you're going to say it's real and that they should be prosecuted. But let me ask you this, and this will be the question that I go out on. What good is rigging an election if you don't have control over the person you're rigging the election for? I mean, is that what politics has become now? We're going to rig elections for the worst kind of people because we have evidence of their horrific deeds, and we can control every aspect of their policy? And is that why Dan Bongino is quitting? Because he says, I don't care that we're using our powers for good. I refuse to be involved in something that is so abhorrent. It's so humiliating. We're going to let these people walk free because we own them. And we can use this blackmail material to shove our agenda through. I don't believe Dan Bongino would be a part of that. Maybe Pam Bondi would be a part of that because she craves that approval. Maybe Dan Bongino is really the one running the FBI, but was hired as deputy because they knew they couldn't get him through the approval process. Unfortunately, we have to wait for more evidence. We have to wait for more statements. And we have to believe that it's going to come to us in a medium that we can actually believe. So you're going to have to make sure that you're back here next Sunday at 11 a.m. for the stream, or pick up the audio-only version at any point through your week on Apple, Spotify, or whatever podcast platform you prefer. Follow me on X at earthvox. I am earthvox everywhere you would like to find me. Send me an email, therealearthvox@protonmail.com, and leave me a voicemail, 701-787-1121. I'll be back.